Hello Year 6, I hope you're all well today. Today should be Wednesday, halfway through the week. And I hope you had a good lesson yesterday with Mr. Jobber. I hope you all made your paper helicopters and you completed the experiment. Hopefully it worked out. If it didn't work out, you might want to give it another try before doing this video, or you can just listen on and you can copy Mr. Jobber's results from yesterday. But I hope you enjoyed it. That's probably one of the most important things. For today's lesson you will need pencil, paper, ruler and your results from yesterday's experiment. But like I said, if you didn't manage to get any results, or you've lost them, or you just didn't do the lesson, don't worry, you can use Mr. Jobber's results like I'm going to do in today's video. There are two things we're going to do today. The first thing, we're going to write up the method section of our investigation write-up. So remember, we spoke about our write-up is whenever you do a science investigation or experiment, it's important to document it and write it up. So we started that on Monday, we're going to continue it today. So we're going to do our method section of that, and you can continue that under your learning for Monday and just carry on with the same piece of paper. The second thing we're going to do today is we're going to look at our results, or Mr. Jobber's results if you don't have any, and we're going to plot them onto a graph so that you're ready for tomorrow's lesson where you can analyse those results. Like I said, the first thing that we're going to do is to write up the method section of our investigation write-up. So the method section is basically where you just write down what you did during the investigation. So you can see mine on the screen now. Have a pause, read through mine, and then afterwards, at the end of the video, or now, you can pause it again if you'd like to, you can write up your method section. You can always look at mine to help you, although what you did may be slightly different, so edit it if you need to. Now we're ready to move on to the second part of today's lesson, and for that we'll need to have our results, and on the screen now are Mr. Jobber's results. If you need to write them down for any reason, please do that, and you can pause the video to help you do that in time. So now that we all have our set of results, or Mr. Jobber's results written down, we can see that Mr. Jobber has his 5 mean times, a different one for each length of the wingspan. Hopefully we can remember what the mean is from our lesson with Mr. Jobber. So we're going to call these 5 mean times our data. They're our results. Now, when I was trying to present my data in a graph, I didn't know whether I should draw a bar chart or a line graph, and that's what I had to really think about. And to figure out which was the right thing to draw, a bar chart or a line graph, I needed to decide whether our data, our 5 mean times, whether that was continuous data or discrete data. Now, both of those terms are new words to us. We haven't learned about them before in Year 6, so we're going to spend a moment now just to learn about what they are. So on your screen now, hopefully you can see an image of a bar chart that is showing some discrete data. When we have discrete data, we use a bar chart. That's the best way to represent discrete data. And discrete data is when the values that we have, or our results, are always going to be whole numbers, that we couldn't have half or a decimal or a fraction. We only have whole numbers, and that's how we know if it's discrete data. So this example is the number of children who like different flavoured crisps, and that's discrete data because it would be impossible to have a decimal in our answers. We couldn't have 1.2 children, and that wouldn't make any sense. We could only have whole numbers, so that's how we know it's discrete data. If you want to pause the video and read a bit more about that, you can. So continuous data, which hopefully you can see now, is data that could be in decimals. It might not be in decimals, but it could be in decimals. So this example is the length of a shadow, and a shadow won't always be exactly 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters. It could be 2.5 centimeters, and actually it's likely that it would be a decimal rather than just a whole number all the time. So because our data in this chart could be decimals, it's not definitely going to be whole numbers, that makes it continuous data. And when we have continuous data, the best thing to do is to represent that on a line graph, like in this example. So if you want to pause the video and read more about that, you can. So thinking about what we've just spoken about and our results, look at your results. Is our data continuous or discrete? You're right, our data is continuous because it wasn't going to definitely be whole numbers. If you look at your results, it's very, very likely that you have a decimal point. In Mr. Jobber's results, we do have a decimal point. That tells us that it's continuous data. There's not a certain set of values that it could have been. So if it's definitely continuous data, should we put it on a bar chart or on a line graph? That's right, we should put it on a line graph if it's continuous data. So today we're going to put ours onto a line graph. So now this is the part of the lesson where we're going to draw out our line graph. I'm going to show you two ways to do it. The first is with paper, pencil and a ruler. If you have squared paper at home, that is excellent, but if you don't, like I didn't, then you can just use normal paper and just be extra careful. The second way we're going to do it is using Microsoft Word and inserting a table, inserting a line graph. This is something we did at the beginning of year 6 when we measured our heart rates for our 1,000 hours of kindness week. So hopefully you can remember that. And if you happen to have access to Microsoft Word on a laptop, then you can do it this way. So it's your choice. You could do both, or you could choose to do one of them. So here you can see my line graph that I've drawn on a piece of paper with my ruler and my pencil. I've actually used a pen to make it clear for the picture, but I would advise you using a pencil. Sorry for the shadow that's down here on the bottom. That's just my phone. I couldn't figure out how to get a photo without having that there, so just ignore that and hopefully it's clear enough. So you can see that I have my x-axis and my y-axis. My x-axis is my horizontal axis and my y-axis is my vertical one, which goes down and up. And if you find that difficult to remember which is which, just remember what Miss Devlin taught our class. That when Miss Devlin was younger, her parents used to tell her to wise up, which basically means she needs to act a bit more sensibly. So we can remember that wise up, and we can change the word wise for the letter Y, and then we have Y is up. So Y goes up. That's how I remember it. That's how Miss Devlin remembers it. You may have your own way, but as long as you remember it, that's fine. So Y is the vertical axis, and X is the horizontal axis. So on my x-axis, I've put the wing length in centimeters, and I've written that. That's my label down the bottom, and I've used my ruler to measure 1 centimeter for each centimeter on the wing length, and I stopped at 14 because that was the largest length of my wings at any point, so I need to stop at 14. Then I've done my y-axis, which was trickier, and that was the time of descent, which means the time it took to fall in seconds. So you might want to listen carefully for this part. I used my ruler and I measured up 25 centimeters, and then I used each centimeter as a 1/10 of a second. So I started at 0 and I said 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, so that's half a second, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, 1 whole second, and I've written that on. 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, so that's 1.5 seconds, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, 2 whole seconds, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5 seconds, 2.5 seconds. There is a decimal point in there, it's just tricky to see. Then, once I had it laid out, then I have to just plot my data, so put my results onto the graph. I started with 14 centimeters. The mean time for 14 centimeters in my results was 2.93. So I went up to 2 and I said 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. And because it was 2.39, I knew it would be just before 2.4. So I went across from 2.4 and plotted my point. I then repeated that for the other points, and then I had my 5 points on my graph. And then using a ruler, I joined them all up to see my results in a visual way. The last thing I need to do was add a title to my graph, which is the time taken for a paper helicopter to reach the ground. So that's my graph. So I'm now going to talk you through how to represent your data on a graph using Microsoft Word, and we're going to insert a line graph, and it will be very similar to one that I've just shown you that I've drawn out. Now I'm going to show you how to do it on my laptop. However, when I click insert up the top here, when I click that on my laptop and then I click insert chart, it comes up with lots of charts on my screen. However, I don't think you can see on your screen at the moment, but when you click on that, it will give you lots of different types of charts. You want to click on line chart and then OK, and hopefully now you can see a line graph appear. Something else will appear on your screen, and it will be an Excel spreadsheet with boxes where you can insert data, and there will be 4 categories and 3 series of data. So you want to click on series 2 and 3 and delete them because we only have 1 set of data. And now you can see my chart has changed to just have 1 blue line. That's because I've deleted the other 2 sets of data. Now instead of the categories, I'm currently typing in the different lengths of my wingspan, which are 6 centimeters, 8 centimeters, 10 centimeters, 12 centimeters, and 14 centimeters.
And then underneath Series 1, when you do this, this will appear on your screen, you'll be able to see it. Underneath Series 1, you need to type in the time it took at each length. So at 6 centimeters it took me 1.12 seconds, 1.43, 1.49, 1.84, So I've just finished typing in my data, so I'll just explain that one more time. Instead of the categories, you need to type in this 5 wing lengths, and then underneath series 1, you need to type in the 5 corresponding times. And then you can close that, and now you can hopefully see what I can see. I want to change my title, so I'm going to click on the title box, and I'm going to type in the title I want, which is time taken for a paper helicopter to hit the ground. And now I want to find out if I want to get rid of these series, so click on them and press delete. And then this is my graph. Now I just need to label my X and my Y axis. So to do that, I'm going to insert a text box. So on the top, I'm going to click insert, and then I'm going to click text box. Now you won't be able to see what appears on my screen now, but it gives me a choice of text boxes. I'm going to choose just simple text box, and I'm going to type in wing length in centimeters. Now to be able to move it, I'm going to double click it. I'm going to click wrap text. Now you can't see the options that my computer is showing me, but I'm going to choose in front of text. And that means that this box can go in front of the text. I'm going to put that on the bottom. And then I want to insert another box, so insert text box and simple text box, which I know you can't see. And I'm going to type inside this box time of descent in seconds. Maybe that capital letter, I don't want them. And I'm going to make the box a bit narrower. I'm going to double click it. I'm going to click wrap text, and again you can't see, but I'm choosing in front of text, and then I'm going to drag that over to show this is the time. And now I'm finished my graph.
So there are my line graphs year 6. Now it's your turn to have a go at drawing your line graph either on paper or on Microsoft Word. Remember, if you didn't collect any data or any results, you can use Mr. Jobber's results. Go back to the beginning of the video and record them if you haven't already. And don't forget to email in your graphs to the Year 6 email account if you can. We'd love to see them. And tomorrow Mr. Jobber will be helping you to analyse your graphs and also completing your write-ups. Have a lovely day Year 6, and I will see you again on Friday.